100. What about on that the Joe mic?
It's on.
Yeah, just do you need to check it? Do you need it?
Boom.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the Miller Martial Arts Podcast, episode 10. Episode 10. All right. Sponsored by Miller Martial Arts. All right. Today we got an awesome guest, former college football player, undefeated mixed martial arts fighter with a record of 1-0 as a professional and 6-0 as an amateur.
8-0 if you count my Muay Thai fight.
Oh, okay. 8-0 if we're talking about other martial arts in there. Brown belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and future MMA superstar, Amun Cosme.
I like the way that sounds.
Yeah, dude. We got the elite level guests on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
All right. So we're going to get into our gut check.
Okay.
What's your morning routine? What do you do to get your day started before your first practice?
All right. My morning routine as of the past 2.5 years now, wake up, crush a bottle of water. I have two 16-ounce bottles of water next to my bed. Crush a bottle of water, go take a cold shower, make up my bed, write in my gratitude journal. And that's been 2.5, maybe 3 years now.
Well, you said you crushed one of the bottles or you crushed both of them?
I crush one bottle of water. When I get back and make up my bed, I'll crush that second bottle of water.
So I know some people are balling on a budget. You know you can get a 33-ounce or 1-liter Camelback nice bottle with the thing. But you got two bottles. But you could have one bottle.
I don't know. Maybe for me, it's just accounting because I'm always like, all right, I want to make sure I get my 10 to 12 bottles of water in, so it's just more convenient. So I probably need to be better about that recycling.
I'm just asking. What about the cold shower? What's up with that?
So my striking coach, Kurt Reinhardt, is always like imposing his stoicism on me. He's like, you should take cold showers one day, like just out of the blue. It's like 4 years ago. He's like, helps build mental toughness. And I take stuff to heart. It's like when coaches tell me things, I'm like, all right, cool. And then the first time I tried to get in that cold shower, I realized how much of a punk I was. I was like, yo, it's just cold water. Like, what's the big deal? I had like a 5-minute conversation about myself about how I didn't want to get in there. And now it's like just a routine now. It's like I started doing it. And I hit a mark of like 30 days, and I just said I'm going to continue to do it. And then it went from just like learning how to deal with the little things that bother you all the time. It's like, it's just cold water. Because if you ask somebody who never take cold shower, like, take a cold shower, they're like, no. They get like this real like standoffish, like, why would you do that? And I'm like, why wouldn't you do it? It's just a little bit uncomfortable.
So I'm a wussy when it comes to cold water. Now, that's not to say that I won't or haven't, but like most people, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. And so I've had practices, there was a period of time where like the ice bath was the big thing at Top Team. And it was done after every bloqueo or our sparring session. And I didn't do that. Like, I'm not about that life. Yeah. I believe in like, and there's actual reasoning why I was about it. Like, I know that you're actually supposed to let your body while it's hot be hot. You don't, when it's releasing like anti-inflammatory properties and healing stuff to your body once you like after your workout. Yeah, you're supposed to let all that stuff and cool down naturally before you do a submerge. Yeah. But we were doing this thing where it was like right after practice. It was so good for your body. I think it was just like a mental thing. And it was like, you get in the cold tub and we're alternating. We had like 4 of them. And Conan was telling me, come on, Magrino. I was like, no, that's all right. And he was like, no, just come do it. Okay, I'll do it. Now, I wasn't happy about it. Yeah. But I didn't like get in and then pop out. Yeah. No, I got in. Just get in. But I'm mad. I'm steaming. I just don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, because it'd be one thing if you're doing it for a reason. Yeah. You know, I see what you're saying. Every day, get just a little bit of discomfort, mental hardening, because you're doing a shower. We're not talking about an ice bath.
Yeah.
But I understand where it comes from, but that's the level of I don't like it. Now, can I do it? Yeah, I got in there. If I will do this, will it make you leave me alone? Well, then the juice is worth the squeeze on that. Or like I've been in like water, not real cold water, but like you go out and to a triathlon or something like that, and you're at the 61 degree mark. That's pretty cold water, pretty cold. You know. Yeah. And it's only a quarter of a mile swim, so I just said no wetsuit. Yeah. I mean, the moment I step in with my ankles, like the water is just above the ankles, you walk in until you there's no, you jump in the pool and it's like, okay, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off hella fast. You jump in the pool, so that way it's like it's not that bad. You can't do that when you're walking into a pond or lake to do your or ocean swim or whatever it is. There's no jumping in because it's at your ankles, then it's at your shins, then it's at your knees, then it's at your lower hip.
You're working your way into the cold, like step by step.
Right. So then, and then you're waiting for the gun to go off. It's like you're just and you're chattering, but can I do it? Have I done it? Hell yeah. Will I voluntarily do what you do every day? Hell no.
So the second week in November of this year will be 3 years straight. Haven't missed a day. I've missed one day that I didn't do anything. Like I stayed up for over 24 hours. So I didn't like wake up and like do anything. But for 3 years straight, every time I wake up, it's just a habit now. And now it feels wrong if I don't do it. But like throughout the day, if I go work out and something, I come back, take a shower, I'm not thinking cold shower, I'm thinking hot shower. It's just now my brain is set in the morning, hey, get this one uncomfortable task out the way, write at least minimum 3 things that I'm grateful for just to get myself in a positive mindset, and then go just fuck up the day. Like you just go tackle the day.
Yeah, that's cool. Like the gratitude journal. I don't have a journal, but every day for maybe the past 3 years, like you, I have started thinking about things that I'm grateful for. I think about something every day. I don't write it down like you do. I probably should, but I think that's important. Yeah,
I think I'm a little bit old school. I love pencil and paper, so I'm big about writing stuff down. And sometimes when I write stuff down, when I go back, I'm having like really rough patches and stuff. I can go back and reflect and see, where other times I was having rough patches, and it kind of helps me get my way out because I'm a thinker, and it's when you're a thinker, sometimes you hit that little train and you'll just overthink yourself into a grave. And like the worst thing to have in a grave is a shovel.
Yeah. Yeah, you get too close to things.
Yeah.
What nicknames? You grow up with any nicknames?
Moon. That's always been my nickname.
You didn't have anything others like Pee-wee or Squirtle or something like that? Like, I don't know. No?
No.
You didn't have an aunt or anybody call you anything crazy?
Nope. I was my mom, she's a real bubbly person, so she just like make all kind of sound noises, and she's like, "Oh, my booby dude."
I was just about to say, dude.
Yeah. So you'll still, even now, like if I haven't seen her in a while, like it's crazy. We live in Milledgeville, but I'm a very like to myself person. Yeah. My family lives like 5 miles away from me, and I'll go like a month without seeing them. Yeah. And then I just pop up and see them, see my sister, see my little nieces. She'd be like, "Oh, booby dude."
Oh my God.
I know, right?
Now, Moon just has to come from your name.
Yeah. So my name is Amun, but in high school, like I guess with the southern drawl, everybody would say Amun, Amun, Amun.
Okay, well, see, I've been saying it wrong the whole time.
And I'm like, all right.
Amun?
Amun. Like Amun Ra, like the sun god.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just Amun. I tell people it's like amen with the U.
So your name is the sun, but your nickname is the moon.
The moon.
Oh, my gosh.
Duality. I'm all about duality.
Yeah, I see that. That's cool. Okay, so moon just came from Southerners that couldn't say Amun.
They would say Amun, and when I started playing sports, the coach was like, Amun, Amun, and then like everybody would just be like Moon. It just turned into Moon. So football camp, soccer, everything just turned into Moon.
Okay.
And then we just ran with it. It's like it's so much easier.
Yeah. What's your favorite piece of martial arts training equipment? Could be a piece that you wear. Could be a brand of focus mitt. Could be a heavy bag, a very specific heavy bag. Could be anything that you strike, punch, a grappling dummy, but mouthpiece could be anything.
Actually, my favorite piece of equipment that I have thus far, it would be my the 7-ounce bag gloves from Fairtex.
Okay.
The one with the thumbs cut out.
The thumbs come out.
Yeah, like
you are the first person who has said anything like that I've known in 10 years. Like that.
Really?
Yeah. What do you like about them?
I like the fact that I can feel my knuckles when I punch, because like a lot of times when I first started, like every newbie a while ago, I thought like, okay, 16-ounce gloves, I'm going to hit the heavy bag. And then like you really start messing up like the development of your punch because you can't feel your knuckles. So you'll start to push. And I would have the tendency to like push the bag. And when you first start training, you see the bag swinging. So you think you're hitting powerful and you're really just pushing the bag. You're like, you're just sucky punches. So like having just that thin cover above the knuckles allows me to like dig the knuckles in and like get that good retraction, that pop that I like.
Yeah, I the heavy bag is one of those things that takes a while to master. Yeah. And if you've got 16-ounce gloves on, it takes a lot of time for you to figure it out. But I like to go to the 8-ounce glove, a boxing glove. I've never used like those bag gloves with the thumb cut out kind of things. I kind of think of those as like cardio gloves, you know what I mean? But obviously they're not. Fairtex makes them, and Muay Thai guys actually, I see those guys kind of use them sometimes. But I'll put on like an 8-ounce fight glove, like that boxers would use for those guys that are 154 and below. And I like racking the bag because same kind of thing. I can feel my knuckles in it, and I can see the bag like bend, not just sway.
You get that crease. That's when you know you hit it good. You get a nice little crease, and that's kind of like what I'm looking for. If I hit the heavy bag, it's to get the crease. That's when I know I've hit it good. But I've done so much more pad work with Kurt, my striking coach, and he's a traditional Muay Thai guy, so he loves holding the pads and stuff. So we work in a lot on the clinch. So having that thumb free, I'm able to kind of swim in and work little things. So when we're doing our clinch work, I'm able to get in positions that sometimes with 16-ounce gloves, when you're going, you're not, so your arms get stuck under someone trying to pummel, or people can just kind of just frame on your face. So I like those because he works with me with pads. He'll fire back. We'll get it in the clinch work in pads and stuff like that. So it just allows me a little bit easier. It's more relatable to the MMA glove for me. I think that's why.
Yeah. Do you have a concealed carry?
Yes.
What is it?
It's my Ruger.
Ruger?
9mm.
What brand? What model is it?
I'm not as efficient with guns as you
are.
Oh
man, you gotta. we got.
Boom.
Well, we're gonna do some research. We're gonna figure this out. If it's like a LC9 or something like that.
I have it. It's in the car.
Okay. Well, it's not concealed right now, is it?
Well, I don't have it on me. Yeah.
Pet peeves on the mat. What do you hate that other people do?
Number one, hygiene. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. If you don't smell good, I don't want to train with you.
Oh man,
that is
the body odor.
The worst. That is the worst. Like I got some teammates I'm not gonna ever call out, but like some people just, I feel like, I don't know if it's not washing the gear all the time, or like some people do have natural just body odor. I pick it up. I'm like, yo, I'm a sweater and I don't stink because I
take care of my gear and my body.
Gear my body. Oh, this smelling bad, get rid of it. But sometimes you'll be going with someone and like one roll in, as soon as they break that sweat, it's just like.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that for a moment. A lot of times that comes down to education. They don't know how to make their gear last, or they don't know how to take care of it. And so like this is one thing that in my welcome to the team email, we send this out, and then in my Facebook group every like quarter or semester, I'll just remind, because we have like new members that have come in, like, hey, if your rash guard starts to have that smell, you can take white vinegar, you can put it in a tub, you can let it soak.
I do lemon scented ammonia when I wash. I do lemon scented ammonia. It smells good. It's not like the real strong, and I just dilute it. I put like a cup in like a half gallon, and I just put that in my wash every time, and that's helped like make my gis last forever.
We sell some stuff here. It's made by Defense. It's called like Sun Shield or something. It's a detergent additive.
Yeah,
and it's an antimicrobial shield that. A lot of times that stuff, that microbes get in there, and that's like what you're smelling when the sweat goes in there and it releases. This stuff it basically gets in there, creates a shield, prevents that type of thing from happening. You put one thing in with your fabric softener reservoir or whatever, and that's good for 30 loads of laundry.
Oh, shoot.
And every little thing you can do like that will help your rash guards, your gis, because like you said, sometimes it's not that they smell bad, it's what's stored in their gis because of how they use it. But put it in a tub, soak it in white vinegar. Jara talks about some other thing. It starts with like a P or something. But borax. Borax. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but yes, like you soak that, and you can use your everything from your those things that store your cup. Not straps. Not the strap. The compression shorts. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Your spats, your rash guards, all of that gear, not just your gis, can be used to make that stuff last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Now, when that stuff is done, it's fucking done.
Throw
you
that
gotta
shit
throw
away.
it in the
Don't
trash.
Donate it to anyone. Don't
there you go.
Throw that shit away.
So
I do have a second pet peeve though.
Okay.
All right. And the training partner that gives you the wrong look. Like, say we're drilling armbar to triangle, and I just call it armbar number 2. You know, when somebody stacks out, you just bring that shin back over, throw it over, cross your legs. Like, okay, the progression is I got an armbar, so you were strong enough to snatch one out. Then I went to triangle, so your defense is to posture up. Guess what? You just postured up, so now I'm just going to switch my hips to go back to the far side, the near side armbar. But you'll either get the super stiff guy who just like training like this, or the person that's just a dead body.
Yeah, or the third option, they don't do the thing that the coach asked. They defend it, but the other way to defend it.
Yeah. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Oh, bro.
So I really started making sure when I started instructing all the fundamental classes, I'm like, hey, don't be this training partner. Don't be
Nick Blachowski. I know you're out there. You ruined Tim. Now Tim stops my moves from happening as I do them when he's the uke. You did this to us. You were the cancer.
I noticed you did it the other day when we were going over the case of escapes, and I was like, oh, thank God, because I was working with like one of the newer guys, and he was just like so stiff. I was like, bro, just relax a little bit. This is the look we're going for. But yeah, that's a pet peeve. I know newer guys, like, you know, once you're like first month and a half, it's acceptable. But if you're like a blue belt, you're a green belt, a blue belt, you got a couple stripes on your white belt, like, you know how to defend an armbar and try, like, and it's like general stuff, like stuff. I'm like, yo, you should be able to. Like, I hate that. That's like a pet peeve of mine. I'm like, bro, I wouldn't be going for this if you were defending this way.
We're not competing right now. If you would like to, we definitely can.
We will roll at the end of class.
Yeah. Those are good pet peeves. What's your favorite takedown? It could be the favorite one you do, or it could be just one that like you don't even do it, you know. But it's like, man, that's the coolest takedown. Whatever.
I like getting that high C, because the feeling when you lift someone with no like effort, it feels so good.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the first time that we ever met. And you helped train me for my first fight. Didn't know what I was getting myself into. And now you talk about my first fight was 2016. So it's 2020 now. 4 years ago, 4.5, about 5 years ago. Lathan walks in, and I'm like, damn, this dude's big, man. This dude's big. You know, he has, you know, quite a few amateur fights on his record. He trains at Rush, and everybody has that kind of like, you know, just that little swagger to their walk. I was like, all right, cool. I've seen Cole on Ultimate Fighter, so I'm a little bit fanned out. I like don't know what to say a little bit. Just like, I'm just gonna take direction. We're gonna go. We did a private about 2 weeks before. So I was like, I'm going to use everything that we saw in the private against Lathan. Wrong. Lathan comes in. We start in the head and we start in single leg. We have the videotapes, and I still remember like it was yesterday. We start in single leg against the cage, head inside. I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm starting off in a good position. Cool. I can't take Lathan down, so I'm not discouraged because I just like got the mindset. I'm gonna keep going after it. Then Lathan gets me. And it's like effortless, literally almost throws me over the cage. Literally, like just high sees me, and I'm like, I want to do that to somebody.
Right.
Now I have the skill set to do that to someone. So that's probably one of my favorites.
That's a good one. Sweep. Favorite sweep.
Classic. I like scissor sweep.
Oh, man, what a great move. Dude, I love it.
It's the first sweep I ever hit. And there's so many variations of it. I feel like even though this is the first sweep I ever hit as a white belt, like learned, and still as a brown belt. I'm like, oh, just so many variations. I could just go scissor, push out. I can go back. Like you could just change so much stuff for it.
Yeah.
You're in a great position. So
guard pass.
Knee slice. That's yeah. Knee slice. It's my favorite one. If I get trapped in half guard, then it goes GSP pass.
What's the GSP pass?
It's
the knee cut when you're in the half guard. Okay, yeah.
You showed a detail a long time ago about turning the knee down so the knees are facing the same.
Oh, yeah.
I used to always get stuck in there with people who are really good half guard players. And then I realized after actually watching BJ Penn, he likes to go opposite side. So if they get the underhook, then I'll just get the near side underhook, flatten them out, and then you just knee slice the opposite
I do
way.
that one too.
That's like my favorite one because it works against. If it can work against a guy who's like bigger than me, or more like outranks me, then I'm like more technical. Then I'm like that's my go-to because I know it's like dummy proof sort of thing.
What about submission?
Armbar all day.
Armbar. Jujigatami. Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
From the top or bottom or both?
I use it from the bottom a little bit to kind of just get on top, but I like to kind of set it up from the top position. I like to get it from like if someone's like in turtle like or inside. I prefer to do it off the side.
And your last win came by armbar.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, that was great. That was great to watch, man. Like we'll put a link to his fight. It's online, right?
Yeah. We'll
put a link in the video that you guys are watching. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll put a link to his fight on there. You can see that. Cool. What's your favorite post-training shake or meal? If it's acai, what acai toppings do you like? If it's not acai, what else do you like?
So I do like the acai bowls, but that's not my go-to. You have been witness over the past couple weeks that I'm a cooker. I love to cook. And that shredded chicken is like my go-to. Get some pita bread, just cut a pita bread in half, do some like barbecue shredded chicken, put a piece of pepper jack cheese in there, throw a bunch of shredded chicken and fruit. I normally do like a smoothie. So I don't do like an acai bowl.
What do you put in the smoothie?
All right. My go-to is almond milk, bananas, blueberry, and that's it. Just blueberries, banana, almond milk, strawberries.
Protein? No protein. Just fruit.
Just fruit. I'll trust me. I'll stuff that pita with a lot.
So
a lot of chicken.
That sugar from the fruits is gonna spike that insulin, so it's gonna be ready to receive the pita with all that meat that you're stuffing in your body.
If I do feel like I need some extra like fats and proteins, what I do all the time is I'll literally buy like 5 dozen eggs. And then I'll just have about 12 to 24 just boiled eggs already in the fridge. So if I feel like maybe I need a little bit of extra something or I'm a little bit hungry, I'll get like 3 or 4 boiled eggs. I'm like, eggs aren't really nothing, just egg white and healthy fats. So I'll just eat that on the side. I'll throw some Tabasco or like some spicy mustard or I'll just put something on it.
Favorite jiu-jitsu player of all time?
Marcelo.
Woo!
I'm a classic for the guys who are more my stature, who's aggressive on like as far as I want to mimic my butterfly game to his. One thing I really respect about your game is you are very long, but you play that butterfly
like Marcelo does.
You
Man,
sucker
he's
people
the GOAT.
into the damn arm drags and getting to the back. And I'm like, I know it's coming, so don't let you get under the arm. But if I let you get the hooks in, then I'm elevated. So I have a lot of things.
So here's how you stop the arm drag and me get in the back.
Get rid of
Let me
arms.
hook sweep.
No.
Let me hook sweep you and get on top, and then you don't have to have me arm drag you to the back.
I've been on the bottom for like the last 3 weeks. I don't want you on top of shit.
Well, I'm trying to just if you don't want to get drugged, that's the answer.
That's my only goal when I roll with Cole is not get hook sweep. Like, I don't care what else he does. I'm like, nah, this dude's not gonna hook sweep me today.
My goal is don't let his ass get to the back. Just don't let him get to my back, and I'll be good and around, and then he'll just fucking force me there, and I'm like, and so the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu, I'm totally taking everything Cole said. I hate when people say, oh, you're 10 moves ahead. You're not fucking 10 moves ahead. You're like a half to one, because you don't know what the other person is doing. But if you're only giving them 2 bad options, hey, if you go this way, I'm going to choke you out. If you go this way, you're probably going to get submitted, but you have less opportunity. It's still both bad directions, but Cole's always like, he knows I don't want to give up my back, and he's like, hey, look, the only way to get out is to give up your back. So that's been like my fight for the past 3.5 weeks. I feel I have little mental victories, right? I wake up in the morning, cold shower is a mental victory for me. If I go through a whole roll and he doesn't get my back, that's a mental victory for me. I'm like,
it don't matter if there was 9 submissions if he didn't get the back.
No, I'm just like, hey, look, I didn't get tapped out of my back today. I hate being in his guard, so I'm like, fuck it, that's where we're gonna start, but don't end up on your back. Don't let him get my back.
What about MMA player? Your MMA fighter, rather.
Oh man, I have like a top 5. Obviously, I'm more geared towards the people in my weight class.
Okay.
Still, Jose Aldo is one of my all-time favorites. I love what he did in WEC when he was just wreaking havoc. Obviously, he got knocked a little off course with the whole Conor thing. But the UFC is a business, and I understand the business aspect of it. You get knocked out in 13 seconds, you're not going to watch it. I'll give you a chance to deserve the title.
He's gotten many opportunities since, and he's probably the greatest featherweight of all time.
Yeah.
His run was unlike anybody else's run.
And funny story, my man Tony, if you don't follow his MMA page, please do. Tony Clark MMA.
He's a local here.
Yes.
In Warner Robins.
Yeah.
And he doesn't train for some reason. Tony, what are we doing?
He said when he goes to the new facility, he's coming. I said, I'm going to hold you to that.
It's like, Tony, you got this like Instagram page that has hella followers, and you're all into MMA, and you don't train.
He's going to come.
You don't got to be a fighter. You don't got to be a jiu-jitsu competitor. Just come train.
That's it. I'm
give you a little bit more in-depth insight. I know you already respect the fighters and the moves. Tony, come on.
He's extremely smart. Like, we have conversations, and as far as like technical from the outside aspect looking into a fight, he's not a casual. Like, most people are like, oh my God, I like this guy. Like, we were talking the Max Holloway and all that stuff, and we were breaking down all the fights as they were going on. I was like, man, this guy's really good, and he's analytical, and he hasn't said any bull crap. We had some, everybody has disagreements at fights because of, different stuff, but it was really, really, really good. And,
So fans are getting like this now, where they're not educated like they know the positions. No, they are educated in a level where they understand the strategy. They understand up in their mind the that there is a nuance. They've never felt that nuance. But they know that. I'm talking about the hardcore people, and he's like one of these guys.
Yeah.
So it's not unlike another sport. We're just a little bit slower where there's fewer of these types of fans. But when you watch football, there, of course, is going to be the guy who's had a little bit too many hot wings and alcoholic beverages, and he's going to be like, hell, if that was me, I'd throw that football quarter mile, or I'd just hit that son bitch.
Nah,
But
my favorite trolling MMA video right now is the guy is in guard and he's trying to punch the guy's controlling, and somebody in the stand says, "Punch him in the face," and the guy says, "What do you think I'm trying to do?" He's in the fight. He's like, "What do you think I'm trying to do? Do you think if it was that easy to punch everybody in the face and knock them out, everybody would be fucking superstars?" Like, it's not as easy as you think it is. And he's not one of those. Tony's like, he's like on his P's and Q's, and that's like a question we get all the time. Like, who's your favorite fighters? I always geared towards like the lower weight classes and stuff like that. But I like to pay homage to the people who paved the way, like the pioneers of the sport, like Randy Couture, still one of my favorites. Anderson Silva, still one of my favorite, like higher weight class guys. I really like what Randy Couture did in MMA.
You mentioned GSP earlier. I mean, like, you have a lot of similar traits with like that knee cut specifically in your top game, where I could see you being that type of game plan kind of guy as him, you know. But yeah, like those fans, like in football, there's also those guys who can be very analytical. They played at what, a high school level maybe, or maybe even just like through middle school, but they have watched so much football that and probably played Madden. Like when you play Madden, you don't just like hit Y. It shows you like the plays, and like there are people that really understand those plays. Well, now we're starting to get some, not a ton, but MMA fans that actually get it. You know, and that's cool. That's cool that we got like a guy like that around here.
Come on, Tony.
All right, here we go.
Gut
check's over.
Okay, I'm good.
It's a hot seat.
Your origin. Where were you born? What was growing up like? And what was like the family life like, social dynamic? Brothers and sisters. Where did you start?
Born in New York. Originally born in Brooklyn, New York. I'm one of many. I have 4 older brothers, 2 older sisters. It's me and then a younger sister, so I was 8. All right. But my older brothers are from my dad's first marriage, so there's quite a big gap between us. We moved from New York to Philly, and they're about, it's probably like almost a 10-year gap in between us. So growing up, they were kind of already out of the house. So I grew up still in a big family in Philadelphia, very close-knit family, very, very family-oriented, like, you know, family over everything, you know, protect the home.
That's cool. What about your friends? Did you lose all of your friends when you moved from New York to Philly?
No, because I moved when I was pretty young. I moved when I was young. I think I might have been 1 or 2, and then lived in Philly until like 6 or 7, and then moved down south to Georgia. So I was raised in Georgia. It was a little bit different going from city to city. I tell people, it's like, oh, what's Philly like? I was like, Philly in the 90s is like New York without any of the good stuff. Like, no one tries to make a living in Philadelphia. Like, nobody says, oh, I'm going to go. That's not like the land of opportunity or anything like that. Philly is rough. And my mom was a teacher, and the school system, well, that's what inspired her to be a teacher. Growing up, she used to say she wanted to be a doctor. And then, you know, when, you kind of get in college, like medical school and stuff, so she said she was just going to be a doctor of the brain, be a teacher. She had a passion for teaching. And the school systems they're probably still really bad, but they were horrible in Philadelphia. Actually, if you watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where he's getting spun over his head at that playground, we used to play at that playground, and there's a high school across the street from there. That's where my brothers went to high school. My brother got jumped by like no less than 20, 30 people because he got into it with a girl, and they called the girl bitch, whatever. She told the crew, and the crew came and told the school, and he got stomped out and went to the hospital and stuff. My mom was like, I got to do something about this. I can't have y'all going to school and, you know, be like that, you know, issues like this happening. And besides just all the stuff that you grow up with living in more impoverished neighborhoods, you know, drug dealing, shootouts, shit like that. My mom was looking for kind of a change of pace. And I think that's what kind of forced the move down south. She's like, I want a house and a yard and better schooling and stuff like that. So
lack of violence in my front yard.
Yeah. Definitely. So that was definitely what inspired the move. I don't know how it ended up being Putnam County, Milledgeville area. That I don't know if they just fucking threw like a dart on the board, and wherever it landed, we went. But went from city blocks to cows, just like that. So coming down south was it was a change, especially a change of pace. Yeah.
No doubt. Did you get along with your whole family, your brothers, your sisters? You guys fight a lot.
Yeah.
Was it a competitive family, stuff like that? What sports did you guys play?
Yeah, so competitive should be like the middle name of everyone in my family. Like we compete at everything. Like I'm the youngest boy, so even my older sisters used to whoop my ass all the way until about so I shit you not. So if I bring my oldest sister in here, like everybody says, oh, my sister. No, my sister can handle herself. Like she's strong. She would beat me like a dude growing up. And one day my dad was like, look, he's gonna get some grown man strength one day, and I ain't gonna stop him. Y'all just gonna fight. I'm gonna let it happen.
Damn.
We're old school. We're old school. And I remember the first time that happened, I was 14, and she was like, you ain't gonna do shit. I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this shit. And as I'm getting up, she yoked me up, like rear naked choked me. And we got hardwood floor. And I remember like I jumped and kicked the leg out, and like she landed flat on her back. Bow. And I heard her go, like all the wind got out.
There was a little bit of equal rights, equul fights going on.
Oh, look, in our house, I've seen my sister fight men. So like it was like growing up, well, boys at that time. When we were in Philly, I told this story on the Stackhouse podcast, but I think if I was 5, 6, she had to be maybe 11, and dude came and took her bike. Like, dude came and took her bike, and she's, like, crying, told my mom, so, oh, my God, like, so. But everybody's on the block. Stuff like this happens all the time. So it was, like, some dude took her bike. We knew who it was, so my mom went down to his parents' house and was like, yo, tell your son to return the bike, or we're going to send Amun to come deal with him. And Amun's like a close friend of the family. He's like an older brother. And Amun was known as the kid on the block who could throw hands. So I was like, oh, don't let Amun come down here. He gonna beat your son's ass. So yeah, we got a guy. They're gonna come down here, and Amun can scrap. A lot of people in Philly, because it's known for boxing, like got hands. That's like a rite of passage. And like if you up there and you can't handle yourself with your hands, then like it's a problem.
I've trained with some pro boxers from Philly and some coaches that came up in Philly.
Yeah,
it's a very hard style. Yeah. The Philly boxing style is hard.
Yeah.
Like mentally, and like I mean that there's like a hardness to the brain and the mentality behind how they fight.
Yeah. So basically the guy came back, and my mom was like, you handle it. And the old school saying, everybody hears it. You handle it. Don't come inside. If you come inside without handling it, then I'm going to handle you. And my sister's in the front yard beating this dude's ass.
You don't know Baby D.
Yeah, you don't know Baby D. But yeah, it's like, hey, look, you handle it. So like, that's the kind of environment we grew up in. Is like, I tell you, it's like the jungle. Like you just gotta you survive. And kind of seeing my parents and just our family fight and grind, it's a part of life. A lot of people look from the outside and say, oh my God. I'm like, man, we got into fights I remember when we moved to Georgia, I was like, okay, we moved to Georgia. Now we were the city folks in the country area. So now I was fighting all the country boys like every single day. It's like, oh, New York dude or this dude from Philly, and I'm like, oh shit. Well, like,
City slicker. Old city slicker.
I like moved down when I was 7. How much of a city slicker?
Yeah. How much do I know?
Like, yeah. But I only have one. My youngest sister's the only one out of all of us that was born in Milledgeville, Georgia.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that you and your family had over just other people in general was numbers.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, you're talking about, like, how competitive you guys were with one another and fighting within your family growing up. I bet I know
Yeah.
that it helped you when you did have to fight those other
Oh,
people.
yeah.
It was like, oh, you think you're tough?
Yeah, I
Like,
gotta go back
look
to.
what I've been living with.
Right.
And if you really if they really cross the line on you,
Yeah.
then you'd have that army behind you.
Yeah.
Like they might not like your little ass growing
Yeah.
up because of you stealing the toys from so and so's
Yeah.
room. But if it was really called upon,
Oh, yeah.
they'd have your back. It's like when it maybe shouldn't be like this, but when you're getting ready for a fight in the UFC and you got top team behind you
Yeah.
and you just got your ass beat in that training camp for the past, years, but that specifically that training camp, you're like, this guy can't do shit to me that these guys hadn't done,
Look,
so where preparation meets opportunity,
That's exactly what it felt like. And that's just like my brothers and sisters. I didn't even get like cousins. Like I had a ton of cousins growing up.
Did they come to Georgia as well?
Yeah, so it kind of like
Oh.
we moved like almost in unison. A lot of people were getting away from the city and stuff like that as far as in the mid to late 90s. But yeah, like it was, and we all like moved to the same block. So it was like we were all living and shacking
Wow.
together.
That's pretty cool.
So
See,
like,
that is cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like we knew everybody on our block, but then like from an outside perspective, it's like, who are these people? They got a whole fucking block. And it's like, oh, we're from Philly. These people are from New York. These people are like all from, and then like we're in Milledgeville or Eatonton, Georgia. It's like, oh.
Everybody's like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, who the hell are these guys, right?
These city slickers running shit around here. All right.
No.
What about the sports? What sports you grew up playing?
Football was number one. Football was number one. My sisters played football, so my sisters are no, like
You don't know, baby D.
I tell you don't know, right? They fought guys. They was gonna play. They was like the whole, like, oh, they're not gonna play because they're girls. Just shut that down. Like my sister, my oldest sister got linebacker shoulders, bruh.
Whoa.
Like, she gonna hate me for saying that, but like. Both my older sisters, they're a year and a half apart, and everybody thought they were twins growing up. So I saw them compete like, oh, it was ridiculous. Like,
Wow.
like all the time. So whenever we split up teams, and we played tackle, whenever we split up teams, one's on one side, one's on the other side. Cause like we would play football all the time,
Yeah.
and that was extremely competitive. To tell you how competitive we are, we gambled on the weekends with change. Like we would play blackjack and spades, and when you didn't have any change, we would play for water. So if you lose a hand of hearts, you got to drink like a 16 thing of water, and then like literally you're like 3 or 4 hands in, and you're just running back and forth to the bathroom.
Or you're in the hospital from overhydration. 'Cause you're
Overhydration.
gonna
No one knows back then, but hopefully you ain't losing that many rounds of hearts.
Yeah.
You get better.
I don't even
get
know how
better
to-
with your card games.
I don't even know how to
Get better
play
with your
hearts
card
or
games.
spades.
Game up.
Yeah, we competed with everything. No, that was we used to play Super Mario and like not Super Mario Kart or like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter to see who's gonna do the dishes, like for chores.
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
I'll play you for your chores.
Fuck rock paper scissors, right?
Yeah, go
like
put
we're
my-
gonna do a Mortal Kombat tournament just to
And
see
then-
who's got to do what.
Yeah, so if I had the bathroom and you had the kitchen, I'd try and play you for that. And now you got bathroom and kitchen, and I'm chilling.
Man. At what point did you get exposed to or interested in a martial art or combat sport?
Really early. It was probably around 10 or 11. I was known as the crazy kid. I had a horrible temper. I still got a bad temper, but you would have to really, I tell people, not even do something to me. You probably have to do something to my family. And like, you could say anything you want to me, as long as you don't enter my personal bubble, like threatening, then like we're good. But not when I was younger. I had a horrible temper. You could say something that I didn't like, and I assumed that I was like in danger. So like I would
It
just
was a personal attack on you.
yeah, like whatever. I'm like, oh fuck, like it's an attack, and because I got into fights like all the time because kids were stupid. We just fight for no damn reason. I'm the northern kid. I fight here. I'm
And
like-
Baby D was on your ass all the
Yeah,
time,
all the
so
damn
it was
time.
just you had to stay ready.
And then so my dad's black, my mom's Puerto Rican, so like I'm light skinned, so like, oh, that's the light skinned dude, or that's the white boy. I got called white boy a lot growing up. like it. I don't know why, but it was like, okay, I'm light skinned, so I'm the white boy.
You
and
and me
then
both.
like it changed when I went to high school. I went to private school. It was like, oh, okay, well now you're not the white boy anymore. You're the one with the color. It was tan, but like I got into the martial arts because I was getting to fights all the time. And then so my dad would show me how to throw hands a little bit. You know, he's like, he knew I was a lot smaller than most.
When you learn from your dad, you're being enabled. You are not learning how to control your temper. You are not learning the martial valor behind it. You're not using any de-escalation of force. When you learn from dad, you learn how to hurt people, right? Am I right?
Yeah. It was. Hey, you're in this situation. This how we're gonna get out. This how we're gonna do this, right? So
Bring that weak shit home.
so that started, and then obviously, what does every kid do? You did Taekwondo. I did Taekwondo for a couple of years, then kind of just fell off of it, and then that's when I kind of wanted to do boxing. I feel like boxing. We watched so much boxing growing up, like all the classics,
Same.
like all the classics, 90s, just. My dad had VHSs, and he would just rewatch old fights.
You'd be watching Tyson and Holyfield and Fernando Vargas and De La Hoya and Felix Tito Trinidad, and you'd be watching Roy Jones Jr. and Ruiz and Vinny Pazienza. You know, like you'd be watching all these awesome
great the 90s,
boxers. It was just
I
phenomenal.
feel like the 90s. You can go back and still watch the 90s boxing.
Sugar Shane Mosley, watch him do his
Mosley
thing.
was the man.
Man, I mean, we're talking about this was a great era in boxing. I don't think that there's ever been a better era. Now, that's not to say that the best fighter came in that time. That's not what it is. We're saying collectively the most amount of great fighters happened in that time.
Yeah. So that's definitely like I watched a lot of boxing. Taekwondo was cool, but it did.
Like compared to boxing, you're just like, oh, that was lame.
Not even compared to boxing, compared to what the situations I was fighting in every single day. I'm like, this Taekwondo is cool, but like these little flutter kids, like I'm in the horse stance and stuff. I'm not getting in the horse stance and like doing these like katas and stuff like that. In the fight, I'm getting my ass whooped right now.
Yeah, you know what is cool and like I really think is dope for real? Because sometimes like traditional martial arts will get like a bad rap within the modern martial art community. Dude, I love seeing these videos with these kids that look like little hardcore emo kids getting picked on, and they straight up break out into like a traditional martial arts stance or a karate or taekwondo or something like that, and then they start, or even like some like Shinryu kung fu type of thing, and like they straight up KO the bully who like is swinging them hands, you know, and like they just get dropped by this little like emo kid who's got to swing his hair like, or a kid actually throws like a high kick, a head kick in a street fight, and it's like full KO, dude. So you can't knock the TMA. Maybe the things you were getting involved in were a lot of up close and personal or multiple attacker type of stuff. But you still can't knock the value of a good head kick or anything like that, or a punch that comes from the hip and with a ki at the end of it. No, they've got value. There's a reason that martial art was created. It was for the same reason boxing was created, to make sure like if we get in a hand-to-hand, you're going to get spinning kicked in the dome or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think there are a lot of benefits to a lot of traditional martial arts like your taekwondo and kung fu or karate type style. There's definitely like benefits to everything. It was more close quarters. What I was seeing, more wrestling, grappling, boxing, a bigger person holding you down. Like so like for me, I'm like, it's not many unless I can get a strike on and get in and get out. And I trained Taekwondo a couple times a week. Like, it wasn't like that. We had, as far as a family, like where we were at a time, that wasn't the priority as far as like spending money for that kind of training. It was making sure we had a roof over our head and, kind of watch my mom and dad just grind every single day. So,
did you eventually make it into a boxing gym?
Yeah. So after I came back, I graduated high school early at 16. I did extra courses.
Still playing football that whole time?
Yeah. So a weird story. I didn't play football in high school because I went to private school, but I used to attend all these football camps. And the guy who
did the school not have a football team?
No, I went to strictly scholastic.
Okay.
Yeah, strictly scholastic.
That's cool.
But I had this obsession with football, so I would literally I would go out in our backyard or in the street. I would mark off 40 yards. I would put cones out. I would buy football. I started playing Madden. I started learning about offense and defense. I was as obsessed as you can get with the sport. I was that kid. I was like, I'm just all in. I want to play football. This is what I want to do. And then I never got the chance to play it in like a public school setting. So I think that kind of like fueled me even more because I didn't get a taste of it. Like maybe if I would have gotten like, I had a chance to do it. I got to play one time in rec. And then after that, I got recruited by the head coach of Baldwin County in a football camp because they have like this elimination game at the end of football camp. You run all your skill stuff. At the last day of camp, y'all play an elimination game, and every time the opposing team scores, one player gets off, right? So that means the field gets bigger, which means everything we just did during the whole camp, all your skills really come into play. Your agility, your ability to track people, like your angles you're taking. So you can kind of see who has the skills and like the mindset as far as like who can break stuff down. He came up to me after practice. I outlasted like everybody on the last two. I scored like a diving touchdown or whatever, and like our team won. He pulled me aside and was like, "Hey man, I want you to come play for the high school, blah blah." But I already did my freshman and sophomore year, and he wanted to like develop me as a football player, so he wanted me to go back and start my freshman year. And I thought about it.
As a high schooler?
As a high schooler.
Okay.
And I was like,
what was your age?
If it was summer, it was a summer football program.
Were you 16? You said you finished.
I was 15.
Okay.
I was 15 because I did my freshman and sophomore year in 1 year because I took like college credits and this and summer courses, and then that following year I was 16. I did my junior and senior year and did the same thing.
Oh wow.
So like my motivation for graduating early was the fact that I didn't like school. So like for me to think to go back and do an additional 2 years of schooling just to play football. I loved football, but I hated school that much. Like I really didn't like school.
Okay.
And then after I got out, I started a backyard football league.
Okay.
No pads. Like every weekend we would play, and then it turned to twice a week. And it went from like people just trying to relive their glory days to actual like people who were on teams who got kicked off, then like junior college guys and people who had skills. And then I started like recording it. And then people would ask me, can I make their highlight films? And I was like, okay, yeah, I could do that. And I had all this film. So YouTube is the thing. I start uploading videos to YouTube. If you type in Amun 0212, there'll probably be like an 8-minute clip of like a bunch of cut-ups of me doing some football stuff.
Oh, man. We got to find this.
Yeah, there are clips all there. And there's a bunch of stuff that we were making and uploading. And then we ended up having like semi-pro guys, scouts coming out and recruiting guys to their team. My friend who played in high school gets an opportunity, gets recruited out to California. He goes out to California, and he's like, man, these guys out here soft. Like, SEC football, you're in Georgia, Alabama area. It's just a different mindset mentality. Like how you said they have that mentality for boxing in Philly. Just Southern football is just different than other areas.
Okay.
So he's out there. He plays O-line. He's like, man, these guys are soft, man. Y'all could come out here and do something. And I was like, don't just tell me that. I want to play football. I'm like, tell the coach that. I get a call a couple weeks later from a California number. I pick it up. Coach, hey, look, we looked at some of your guys' backyard film, blah, blah. They didn't offer us a scholarship, but they gave us an opportunity to try out for the team. We were already in college, so they started recruiting guys off of that film.
And you're like 17?
18.
You're 18,
yeah,
okay.
just turned 18. I was at Georgia Military College, and I was playing soccer just to stay in shape because in order to play football for GMC, you have to be in the cadet corps.
Commit to being military service.
I didn't know that. So when I first went to GMC, I had a head full of hair. I'm ready to go in, and they're like, oh, no, you're going to be part of the football team, cadet corps. You have to be in this program. Get ready. It starts like Monday, and this is like a Thursday. So I go and get my hair shaved. I'm in this military program for like 4 or 5 weeks, getting up 5 a.m., doing, the whole thing. But I'm cool because I don't mind structure. And then something happened in financial aid office. Lady messed up my social security number. I'm like in the middle of formation. Like she had like reverse the digits. I'm in the middle of formation, and it's like 6 a.m., and then I just get like a tap on the shoulder. It's like, hey, go to financial aid. Yeah. Hey, you owe us money. So I go to see the lady at financial aid office. It's like, oh, you're Hope, you're this, you're that. I had a decent GPA in high school, like 3.7. And so I applied for all the hopes and grants. I'm like, I don't owe y'all anything. Like, they found out it was the wrong thing. I was like, I really wanted to play football, but they told me, hey, if I wanted to play, I would have to restart. It's called plebe period before you're even a cadet. They say, oh, you would have to restart. I would have to do another 5 weeks of that. Fuck that. No.
Right.
And they had this thing called bull ring. Anytime somebody gets in trouble, you get bull ring hours. And if you don't finish your bull ring hours, you don't get your transcripts, so you can't transfer. That's how they sucker a lot of the football players into finishing their schooling at the college, because a lot of football players get recruited but don't know they have to be a cadet. But now you be a cadet, you got to fulfill your military duties, you got to fulfill your football player duties, and be a student. And I'm just like, bro, y'all running people into the ground. And I was like, nah. So a lot of people would go in, they would get bull ring. If you got in trouble, you're late for your class, you miss out of class, you this, you're that, the third, and bull ring hours would start tacking up, and they would give them out 2 at a time. I knew guys who had like 150, 160 hours of bull ring. And bull ring means you're going to be out there in the sun, in formation, just marching, or just basically doing PT for every hour that they assigned you. And you can't get your transcripts till it's over. And I was like, nah, no thank you. I just wanted to play football. I didn't want to be in the military. I had to be in the military program for like 5 weeks.
What do you think about that, Joe? Can you believe that they would have these guys standing out in the sun in formation?
This is terrible. It's like remedial PT. We did the same thing.
So when you went to California, the coach wanted you to play football?
Yeah. So he called me and my friend up, and we both went out to California together on a hope and a dream. Went out to California. Coach picked us up and just kind of gave us the rundown on, like, what he's looking for, what he expects, and he's going to give us the opportunity to try out for the team. And we both wanted to play. My friend played safety, and your body in football dictates what you can do. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing I love about fighting. Like, everybody sitting here at this table can all fight. It's like, doesn't matter how tall you are. It's just really based off like your weight. Everybody has the opportunity to fight. In football, at 5'7", if I wanted to be a linebacker, I can't do that. There's no 5'7" linebackers anywhere. So your height and
So what did you do?
A slot receiver. So slot receiver is the inside receiver. All your like Wes Welkers, Danny Amendola, like,
So who guards you, like a tight end, or who guards you?
The person who would guard me would either be the outside linebacker or the safety.
Okay.
So 2 guys that one's way stronger than you, bigger than you, but you should have the quickness over, so you should be able to get distance or find the hole on that linebacker. And then the safety is normally going to be good.
I'm cool.
If you got a good safety, he'll come up, and if it's like man, he'll cover you, because safeties have to be able to cover space or a receiver.
So when you went through a tryout period and you made the team, and coach thought you were good to go?
That's when I learned.
You're cool.
In my coach's Coach Ron Ponciano, he used to call people who get into trouble or do stupid shit, he called them slapdicks. He was like, fucking slapdick. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, he's an old school guy, and like I remember, like I learned like that because my dad's born in the '40s, so like there's nothing that you could say that I probably haven't heard, and just like real strict, but
slapdick, huh?
Yeah,
I never heard that one.
But yeah, Coach Ron Ponciano, I called myself showing out for the crowd, not even in a bad way, but you don't realize you're doing something
in a game.
Not in a game, in a practice. I thought somebody stole my hat, and I was kind of pissed off. My brother gave me this hat, all right? And we were on the field, but we should share the field with the soccer players.
Okay.
So there's a game field and a practice field, and we would go in and lift while they're on. We would go and do our warm up while they were inside lifting, and then we would just leave our bag and stuff. We would go lift while they would practice on the field, and then when we came to the field, they would go to their field. And I'm like, oh, I'm missing my hat, and then people talking to you. Oh man, I bet somebody got your hat. And I'm like, yeah, somebody got my hat. Like, so I'm like walking, I'm like, fuck. I'm just like out like talking out loud, and one of the coaches caught me walking. And I didn't see him walking. He all like cursing out loud, like fuck, probably motherfucker took my hat. He's like, the fuck you doing? What's wrong with you?
Slap dick, get over here.
So that wasn't Coach Ron. That was one of the assistant coaches. So he went back and told the head coach, you got some
slap dick.
Some slap dick out there,
New
goofing off. And then Coach Ron put me into his office. He says, you've been nothing but like straight iron sight. Like, you haven't missed a practice and this, blah, blah, but you haven't played a fucking down for me, and you're out here acting like a fucking ass. And I was like, in my head, I was like, somebody stole my, and he's like, shut up and listen. And I was just like, just put the ego aside, listen to what he has to say, and like right now is not the time to respond. And he was like, you haven't even played it down for me. You're getting an opportunity and you want to lose it over a fucking hat? And I was like, in my head, I'm like, but I want to say, my brother gave me that hat. And I was like, don't say anything. There's no right answer. Shut up and listen.
The other day, you gotta like parade rest. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, you can't talk at parade rest, so you got to parade rest.
Yeah. So like he chewed me out, and I kind of sat back and thought about it and was like, well, what was I really like going on in that moment? And I just say, yo, I'm not gonna say shit for the rest of the season. I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself. I'm gonna be to myself, and I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna work. I had the last roster spot like on the team. Like 150 guys are there in January. By the time you get to spring training, you're probably like 120. Then they got new recruits coming in. When they get to the season, they're only allowed to have like 96 people. So people are dropping off left and right, either their fault or they're just going to get cut. But all this kind of plays out. It's that long process of everybody thinks football is played in, just because it's played in August and September, they don't realize we start weight training in January. So like that was the process. I was like, yo, everybody had 20 points. And if you get 20 points, you get kicked off the team. So you get 2 points for being late, similar to bull ring. 2 points for being late. You miss a class, that's 3 points. No call, no show. If you can't make practice for some reason, that's 4 points. You being a dumbass, like whatever the case may be. And people start racking up points really fast. I made it through the whole season, didn't miss any practices, wasn't late. I got a job the first week I was out there, and I talked to the coach, and I was like, hey, can I leave at certain time, blah, blah, blah. He's like, practice normally ends at 4:30. I'm like, I'm starting my job next week. It ends at 5. If we start to run over and it's like 4:45, can I get out of here? I got to go shower and then walk to my job because I moved to California. I didn't have no means of transportation. So he kind of was like, you got a job? You only been out here for a week? So I guess he was more impressed, like just like more of my work ethic, me just continuing to show up. And I kind of just started outlasting people. Like a lot of people were maybe more talented because they had grooming in high school of being on an organized sports and stuff. But I just put my head down, I grinded, and then I just kept an open mind. And everything that they relayed to us in practices and stuff like that, I would just go and write down, and I would go study it, similar to what I do now in the training camp. I just tagged you in that post when I'm done. I'm like have all those thoughts fresh in my head. I go write them down in the book, and that way I have a training log, and I know what we've been training and what the progression is, what the regression is, and where we're going, what my opponent's doing, what am I doing wrong. And I started doing that. I did that with football first. That's how I learned how I systematically learn, and now I just apply that to everything else. And he kind of saw that, and I went from being a dumbass cursing out loud that one time all it take to get caught, and then after one practice, after they made like their second or third cut, he's like, everybody took a knee, and he was like, hey, I want to give this one guy a special shout out. I didn't know he was like gonna talk about me. He's like, this guy's been working, he doesn't say nothing, he just comes, he just done this, da da da. And I'm just like, oh, who are you talking about? And he said me, and I was like, oh. Like that was a big deal because Coach Ron didn't do stuff like that a lot, but he really just pointed out like, this guy has perfect attendance, he also has a job, he's also in school. And you're like,
I want to be like that guy.
Yeah,
it's like I am that guy. That's cool.
Yeah, so I actually called him not too long ago, just to tell him, I appreciate him. A lot of people ask when they message me on social media, "Are you really like that?" And I'm like, "No, I'm really like this. It's not like an act that I'm putting on.
Yeah, it's not a gimmick.
It's not a gimmick, and it's just who I am."
I've got a high school baseball coach who I still keep in touch with because he was a really awesome mentor.
Yeah.
To me, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So college football career. Let's
college
talk
football
about
career. Get injured the week before the season.
Ooh.
So I made the final cut over people who were like recruited out there and everything like that. And my back was fucking with me for like a good 5 months, and I didn't say anything because I was like, I already got this opportunity, just suck it up. My back was really fucked up. I was like, just that constant pounding. I'm hitting linebackers and this and that and the third, and it was a tweaked back injury, and it just progressively got worse. Compounded got worse. I was feeling great, and one day and it was weird. It wasn't like I got hit on a play or anything like that. I ran a route, and I just did something, and it just like tweaked kind of weird, and then the pain got progressively worse, and when they finally put out the roster, like who all made the cut, I got injured like a week before, so it would have been no reason for them to waste a roster spot on me. I could have just they could have just saved that spot, got somebody else, and then I could have just rehabbed and went out next year. And the coach still recruited. He still kept me, and he felt like I was an asset to the team. And he says, "What you're doing here is an asset to the team." We had a playbook, but it wasn't written out. Everything was based off hand signals. And on the sideline, there are 3 people giving out signals. 2 are dummy signals. So if you don't know your shit, you don't know the play. So we have 12 different formations, signals, smoke screens, and everything. You also have to know what the smoke screens are. So the dummy people are trying to do something that's similar to theirs. So you have to be on your P's and Q's.
That's cool.
Because we didn't run a huddle offense like everybody go back to the huddle. We were high paced, like spread offense. So you'll see like hike, then you'll see 11 guys looking for the signal, and then kind of do like a small huddle break. We did have huddles, but like the majority was quick pace.
Stay moving.
Yeah, stay moving, get them tired or on their heels. And so I wrote down in our film study, I would write down all of our plays and what our signal were and stuff like that. And Coach Luque, the same guy who told Coach Ron
that you're a slap dick.
Yeah. He saw me in film study one day. He was like one of the assistant offensive coaches, and he saw me in film study. He was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, these are all the play. I was like, this is the playbook. He's like, we don't have a playbook. I was like, we do. I've been drawing.
We do now.
I was like, I've been drawing out plays for the past 2 months, and now I had like a whole book. I still have it too.
Yeah.
And he was like, let me see that. I'm going to show this to the coach, and when we get new recruits coming in, this will be good because they have a visual stuff they could see, and now they'll probably pick up learning. So I just felt like maybe, my hard work, I felt like I provided something to the team, something that was bigger than myself. And that's one thing I found out about myself, like my whole entire life. I always wanted to be a part of something bigger than me, because like individually, you ain't shit. Like you're just another person, only thing we're all guaranteed is that we all gonna die. I don't care what race you are, what gender, what when you're born. Guess what? We're all guaranteed to fucking pass. Right. So like, I just always wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself, and I'm not very religious, so like, I don't find it in that arena. And I guess I was searching for that in football. So I felt accepted. Like, oh man, he took me on this roster spot when he didn't have to waste a dime. He could have got somebody else. I was still gonna stay and play. And then I went and got an MRI, and I found out I had a herniated disc, and I needed to chill out and try and rehab. And during the Thanksgiving break, I came back. My oldest sister, Baby D, worked for a medical pain specialist and stuff like that. So when I came back, she was like, hey, look, we can get you a second MRI, see if we can get you some, get your back taken care of. And then before I left, I let Coach Ron know, like, hey, look, I'm going to go back, blah, blah. And he looked at me. He was like, I don't want you to leave because I feel like if you leave, you're not coming back. And I was like, no, I'm coming back. He was fucking right. I came back, and I found out I needed my first back procedure. And then a week and a half later, my uncle passed. And my mom and my uncle and my mom, they're basically like twins. They're a couple years apart. And my mom was just
And you mentioned how close your family dynamic was. So that was a big hit to you guys.
That was huge. Like my mom, still to this day,
is not
over it. But like when I saw what she was going through, and then I'm physically like incapable, and then like family's kind of like going through this huge thing, because it's not like he died of natural causes. He died on his way to work. Got hit by a car.
Yeah.
And he was like the safest driver. And if you look at like where he got hit, it's like he would have never made this turn. And me and him, when I first moved down, we used to stay together before I left and stuff like that. And he was just explaining to my mom and everyone, like, he's been a mechanic, hardworking guy. Like, mechanics just work hard. 30 years, and he had just got over all this crazy debt, and he was going and, like, spending his additional funds that he had now that he didn't have any debt or any house or, like, any you know, and his kids are grown now, so he didn't have to, you know, help these kids out and stuff like that. He was help building schools in Honduras, and he would drive his little Ford Escort that had 700,000+ miles. He's a mechanic, so he didn't flip the engine like all these times. He used to drive to Panama and like help build schools and then come back and just finally talked about how free he felt after all this debt and like, you know, all this stuff like that, what he's gonna do with his life. Boom. So my mom and everyone was like really hurt. Yeah. Really hurt by that. So like that happened. I got on the phone with Coach Ron. He was like, hey, I told him, hey, look, my back injury is a little bit worse than what I thought. And he was like, look, if you can't come back and play, I would love for you to be like a player's coach. You still like, you can help out a lot. And I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. If you'd ask me what I would do that wasn't playing football, it'd be coaching football. And so told him that. And then I had that conversation before my uncle passed. And after my uncle passed, I got set up for my first back procedure. That happened. Right. And then it just kind of was like a downhill for that year.
So at what point did you have your first MMA walk in a gym experience? Like what brought you to this point?
I got tricked into doing jiu-jitsu.
By who? Baby D?
Oliver, of all people. Oliver. Okay. So once I, like, you know, got my first back procedure and started kind of getting back, you know, into the swing of things, started playing pick-up football again and all that good stuff. And
old slapdick doesn't learn too well over here.
I'm hard-headed. But then I started to go out to Atlanta to do some boxing. I could only do it like once a week or once every other week because it was like 2-hour drive, go train for 3 hours, come back. But I'm just like, hey, look, I'll learn enough to go back. Made a boxing gym in the garage, and I'm just gonna just do the same shit over and over and over and over again, and started actually picking up, you know, just
that's how you get good repetition. Out there, by the way.
Started
like no condescending tone for me here. Like that's how you get good, guys. Like you don't learn something new every single day. Like you learn something and you go back and you do it over and over and over again. The guy, especially in boxing, what's the most of the time, the first thing you do is you learn to jab the heavy bag, and the coach don't watch you. Every rep, he's off dealing with people that are significantly more important than your ass, and you jab that heavy bag over and over, and he sees that you actually did it, and he'll come back and he'll show you a cross, and then you learn a 1-2, and what do? You throw that 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, and you do it over and over again. Then you've earned the right to learn a hook. That's how it is in boxing. You know, that's how it is in life. You got to actually get good at the shit, not look at all this stuff that's way up here and then skip all this stuff. There's no shortcuts. There's no fast track if you want to be successful in it.
Yeah, and this guy was from Philly. He had been training boxing, training boxers, and he had boxed a little bit, and you know, he had experience. And I remember first time I went to go boxer training, it was in his garage, and I was like, man,
this wasn't what I was looking for.
Yeah, right. And then that was probably one of the hardest training sessions I ever had. And then of course, you know me, I want to go spar. I want to spar. Everybody, I want to spar. This guy's been training like 4 or 5 years with him. He doesn't let us spar till maybe like 3 months of us coming out.
You don't have the right to spar.
Exactly. I thought I did. And then he was like, all right, you want to spar? We are going to do no face shots. We're just going to do body. And the dude hit me with a liver shot. And that was the first time I ever felt a liver shot. And I was like, what the fuck happened? And dropped to a knee. That first liver shot. But, just started doing that. And as far as, like, getting transitioned to MMA, I was looking for a boxing gym. I was like, it's just going too far out the way to keep going back and forth to Atlanta, and I can only go like once a week or once every other week, and it's just too much. I had a full-time job, and I'm working at the Ritz, and I meet Oliver, and he was a supervisor of one of the restaurants I was working at, and I was like, man, I don't remember how it came up, but I guess we were just talking about MMA or fighting or whatever. And I was like, man, I'm looking for a boxing gym. He's like, oh, we got kickboxing. I was like, yeah, I really want to do boxing though. He's like, you ever do jiu-jitsu? And I was like, nah, I've watched UFC.
Do I look like a slap dick?
And then, yeah, that's my slap dick response. I watched the UFC. Like, I know that grappling stuff you're talking about, but I've never done it. So I was like, all right. He was like, well, come here, try out kickboxing. I was like, well, I guess kickboxing ain't that bad. I did Taekwondo for a little bit when I was younger.
And you box.
And I boxed. So, hey, let's put it together. And then it was like American-style kickboxing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this will be good. And he told me, he didn't tell me the time kickboxing started. This fucker told me the time jiu-jitsu started. Kickboxing was after. So I showed up, got my, gloves and hand wraps. I'm like, okay. And he's on the mat. It's like, oh, yeah, it's going to, kickboxing's afterwards. Why don't you just come on and do jiu-jitsu? And I still remember, first day, this 17-year-old girl was a blue belt, triangled me. And then this kid who was a green belt scissor swept me, got in the mount. And I was my feelings was just hurt. I was just like, the fuck am I going to do here? I'm a 19-year-old athlete. Like, I can move. I can this. I could throw a jab and a cross and box a little bit. And I just thought about it from a self-defense perspective. What the fuck happens if I get
What would
to
I
this
do if a
round?
17-year-old girl grabbed a hold of me?
That's it. It's over. And then I was like, oh, man, it was like PTSD. I saw my older sister. Like, my older sister knows this shit. It's over. Like, she's still going to be beating my ass. Yeah. But, no, yeah. So, after that, I was just like, I need to know what they know. And I started just coming to jiu-jitsu, and then I do jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. I always knew I wanted to compete, but I didn't really want to say anything. And then when we got Kurt, we had a Leonard Garcia seminar. Leonard Garcia came down, and that's the first time I met Kurt. And I didn't know who Kurt was. I thought he was another guy there to see the Leonard Garcia seminar. But Kurt had Muay Thai experience. He went to Thailand. He had been training and teaching and fought.
Was he in Millersville? How did you not have this person in your town and not know?
He was looking for a place to train.
Okay.
And then that's how he got to Mama.
Okay.
And he went to the Leonard Garcia seminar, and him and Leonard sparred, and Leonard told Frank, he was like, hey, whoever this guy is, he needs to be running your striking program. And Joe had just left. Joe did the kickboxing, but he had got a good job and went out to Atlanta, moved to Atlanta, I think, and he worked for a brewery or something like that. And we were lacking the kickboxing. The kickboxing program was done. So I was like, all right. Kurt came. He was like,
Perfect
kickboxing?
timing.
He was like, nah, we're going to train Muay Thai. It's a difference. And then that's when I started to learn why I struggled in Muay Thai so much, because of what I learned in boxing. There's two different styles. Boxing is defending center line, and the Muay Thai is baiting the center line. So it's just
big difference.
Huge difference.
And it's not about better or worse. It's just the same thing as saying judo and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Or submission grappling and jiu-jitsu, or jiu-jitsu and catch wrestling. They both have submissions for sure, but these are not the same thing.
Yeah.
And the way that you do them is different, and the mentality, and sometimes the sport rules will dictate the psychology behind it, or most of the time, because it was made for martial arts first, the psychology dictates the sport rules.
Yes.
And the sport rules will then dictate the newer people coming in, and that's how you have evolution, right? So that's just interesting that Muay Thai is definitely different than kickboxing, and which is obviously different than boxing.
Yeah. So that's one thing Kurt really enforced. He said, hey, look, the way he was taught traditional Muay Thai. He said, I will not give you guys a watered down version of Muay Thai. I'm going to give you Muay Thai, the art of 8 limbs, clinch, elbows, knees, everything, using everything, and then he relates it a lot to self-defense, because we got people who come in for self-defense, and he used to work security and stuff like that. So as far as being in that close quarters combat, he feels, especially for clinch work, you got so much control there, and you don't have to worry. And he's a professor of the kinesiology department for Georgia Military College. He always does this with his hands. He says, look, these are for writing, these are for striking. So as I'm on the street, I don't want to break my hand. Everybody thinks you just hit somebody and they go down. But if you're in a street fight, and you're thinking you're going to throw your fists, you're not going to have fucked up hands, the next day, or the possibility of breaking because you're hitting on someone on their forehead, or you might caught an elbow or something like that. So he always talks about, hey, these are for grabbing. I'll grab you with these, and when I grab you with these, I know I can hit you with my elbow. So he's taught like the traditional way, and then I've been fortunate enough for when I started MMA, he didn't enforce that on me. He didn't say, hey, you have to be a Thai style. He adapted to what I did.
That's just smart. You have to know that, like, in this environment, things are different. You can't stand a certain way.
Yeah.
You might have to move your head a little bit more. There's takedowns involved.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. That's good. Good, smart.
He trained in Virginia, and he trained a little bit with Brandon Truvera and a bunch of the guys. I forgot what gym and who he said he was under, but he trained with a lot of MMA guys, so he knows his shit. Yeah, and it's like he's able to kind of adapt, some styles.
So you did jiu-jitsu, you started training Muay Thai, and then so you just got all in.
I got all in. I had 2 jobs, and what I did is I just started working more at one job, left the other job, and with that free time, I was like, I'm just gonna train. And started doing the first one I ever did, Rush Cup.
Little grappling tournament.
Yeah. You refed.
Okay.
Yeah, you refed. It was Bubby's gym. He had smaller.
The second gym or the first gym? Was this downtown Macon or was this in that building?
It was in that building.
Okay, and on Knight Road. Okay, so second location.
Yeah. It was hot. Like a jillion people showed up.
There's like always a common theme.
I'm a dumb white belt. I've only been training for like 5 months, so I just check every box for competing. I'm like, man, for I can compete in all these divisions. I end up signing up for Absolute.
Yeah, I'm doing all of them.
I'm doing everything. So I was the only white belt in Absolute, but I won my first match, tied my second match. I feel good about myself. I'm going against colored
people
belts.
People
with experience, and I'm at least doing well. I did that, and I love to compete, and then I felt that fire that I started to feel for football, and I started getting obsessed. So what I do? Same thing I did for football. How did I get better in football? I would bring I asked Oliver, can I bring the camera to jiu-jitsu and record?
Study, yeah.
He said, yes, of course. So what I would do is I would record a week's worth of, stuff. And then the next week, I would review what we did last week because nobody would remember what the fuck we did last week. And I'd be catching all the submissions and stuff from last week. So I had really good, quick progression as a white belt to blue belt. Was only 7 months, but I was on the mats every day, and I was studying.
So how long did you train before your first amateur MMA fight?
I got my blue belt. I started training jiu-jitsu 2012. And then my first fight was 2016. So 12, 13, 14.
Okay, so 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. I just did a bunch of grappling competition, but I was like, nah, I want to strike.
Yeah, you want to fight.
I want to fight. And I told Kurt, and I was like, hey, look, I want to fight. And he was like, all right, cool. Run 3 miles. Tell me what your time is. And I was like, what? All right. I ran 3 miles. I'm just like a cozy and all through. I was like, oh, yeah, 28 minutes. He just laughed. He said, he was like, nah. He said, you want to fight, you got to run 3 miles and you be 21 or under.
My fastest was 15:50.
3 miles?
Fastest ever.
Fuck.
But you talk about running.
I'm not a runner.
I'm not a runner either. I never ran in high school or none of that shit. I just started running all the damn time, really putting in real work. I ran 3 miles every day, sometimes 2 times a day.
Yeah.
After a specific practice, though, that's exactly what I did was I went and ran.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a cool down.
Yeah.
Nah.
Once you get that first mile, you hit your stride, you're like, fuck that, we gonna go.
Yeah, and I want to find out how fast I can do it.
Yeah.
And so then I started without doing it on purpose, I was making my own intervals in the thing. I'm gonna run hard as hell from this street light to this street light.
Yeah.
But then from this one to this one, I'm going to go up my pace.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that.
That's the
and
best
then I
way
got
to
to where
kill
I
it.
could just start. Now I know that there's guys who can keep that long gazelle perfect stride.
Yeah.
They can run a 5:15 mile for 3 miles, but low heart rate. I was not.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I'm not a good runner.
My fastest 3 miles was 19:02.
For me, it was. I was in a full sprint. I was heart rate high as hell, but I just got to where I could maintain it like that. So I was not a runner. Like the gazelle runner, or like a good boxer who can just they put in all that road work. They have that aerobic capacity and they know how to maintain it. I was not that. But I could go. I was just mentally tough. I was like, you're a bitch if you slow down. You know,
Yo,
like,
that's
heart's about to
me in
explode
my
out of my
head
chest,
all the
and I don't give
time.
a shit. Yeah,
That's me in my head all the time. But yeah, so he told me to run that time and told me where it had to be, and I was like, oh shit. So he said, yeah, you need to be running. And he later on told me, he says, anyone I coach, he says, you're in the cage or in the ring, you're bound to meet someone who's more skilled than you, but you'll never lose off of conditioning. And
I love that. I love that mentality.
he was like, the worst thing you could do is piece someone up in the first round, and they have the tough guy mentality, and they outlasted you the first round. They come out and they start bringing it to you, and now you don't have the lungs to back up your skills.
If
and
you gas from beating somebody's ass and then you lose, that's the worst feeling.
So I was like, he said, you can accept the loss if someone is technically better than you, but he says no one who fights for me is going to be a deconditioned athlete.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, fuck. And so I just started running like a motherfucker, and I got my time under, and then that's when I realized I needed some fucking wrestling. And that's when I met you and Frank. We had set up a
like the
fight.
cage wrestling stuff.
Yeah, we needed that. I was like, all right, Frank's rule was, you can't fight until your blue belt because you need to know, at minimum, need to know how to defend yourself on the ground.
I agree. I have the same rule.
He's like, you need to know how to defend yourself on the ground. Get up. You don't worry about like attacking very much, because you might be getting punched in the face, but can you defend yourself while you're down there? Can you even stall somebody else just so you don't get punched in the face?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're going to freak out and get hit, and then now the threat level is extremely high because now you're panicking, doing all the wrong shit.
So you get the fight, and you're like in the modern era with like amateur rules. It's actually sanctioned by the state. So you're wearing the shin guards, and you can't punch the head of a down opponent.
Yeah.
You got 7-ounce gloves, but it's still a fight.
Yeah.
You can still kick somebody in the head.
Yeah.
Like you can still punch them in the face on the feet as hard as you can.
Yeah.
What was the first fight like?
The first fight, I had such mixed emotions. Like when it finally happened, actually there's a picture of me walking to the cage. I look like I'm high as shit. Like I was like, it's finally here. Like I'm finally here. You get to the cage, and then just like the adrenaline level is like on 1,000%. And then Kurt told me exactly what happened. He said, you're going to do all this stuff. You're going to hit the guy, and you're going to rush him to the cage. This is like what happens in your first thing. You just want to get control because I'm an aggressive person. I go out, I drop the guy in 18 seconds. All right.
That's a good day.
I fake the cross to the. It's still my favorite way to set up my cross to this day. It's cross to the body, drop the level, and then come up top. But I don't have to just look down and go up. I go like my shoulder's going down. So once the arm comes up, then I just corkscrew it up, and I hit him.
Yeah, you've done that. I've seen you do that in sparring.
Yeah,
you do a good job of this.
Favorite. I like to go to the body early, and when I hit the cross to the body, when I stick one in there, I know because then the elbow comes down just a little bit. So anytime I drop the level, I see the elbow come down. If I see the elbow come down, I know your hand's not on your face. So that's like my cue to go. And I first started off doing that 1-1-2-2, 1 high, 1 low, 2 high. And once I developed that's why the whole yesterday, that in and out, I was like, oh yeah, this is how I set up. I'm always looking for the kill shot. I should probably be working the speeds a little bit more, like tempo changes.
Yeah, changing the cadence.
Yeah, but I dropped them. It was weird because I dropped them, and then I went to go rush him, and the referee stopped and was like, yo, you can't hit him. Like, don't hit him in the face. He saw like I was just rushing in. But it's weird because at that time...
Were they doing the standing 8?
They did the standing 8. So I was so confused.
We talked about this on a podcast with Bubby, this organization, Shudo, which has been around since the 80s. That was their original rule set. It was MMA. Even for the pros, if you drop somebody with a strike to the face, clean strike, okay, not like they were falling as you struck them. Yeah. You could pursue that person, but if you actually just dropped them, it was like boxing. You got a standing 8, and the amateur rules borrowed from that major organization. That was the first MMA organization, and they utilized that. I actually thought it was cool because there is a distinction between between amateur and pro. I don't think they should come up like how I came up. A lot of amateurs are like, man, I wish I would have got that. It's like, let me tell you something. The rules of amateur now actually allow fighters to become comfortable on the feet. Yeah. So it's like a boxing or kickboxing or Muay Thai or whatever, Taekwondo, Kyokushin, whatever martial art. you can be comfortable striking. You don't feel the need with a 4-ounce glove and knees coming at your face to immediately let's take this fight to the ground in whatever fashion.
Yeah.
You can learn how to develop martial skill on striking. Not punching to the face allows you to get comfortable doing martial skills on the ground.
Yeah.
Without having to, I mean, he can still punch you to the body and you guys are getting reps, but I like this new amateur rule system that they had implemented at the time. I thought it was great.
So I'm actually on the opposite side of that. I didn't like it. I'm thinking from a safety perspective, right?
Because a guy gets dropped and
yeah.
he's concussed, and you can bring him back up to just get punished more.
That happened in the fight.
I believe
that
it.
happened. So not in my fight, like 2 fights after mine.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are 205ers, and this guy gets caught with a just barroom overhand right, cracked, drops, hits the floor, and it's kind of like hazy. He gets stood back up. That 8 seconds, he was not there. And the referee asked, "Do you still want to fight?" And he's like, "Yeah, I want to fight." And
I think that's a problem with education from the referee's standpoint. He should be able to. Should have been stopped the fight.
The ref should have seen that guy wasn't there, because then the other guy just threw technique out the window and just started clubbing him. And he got knocked out again. And I was like, maybe you could have avoided the second knockout if the referee would have just called the fight.
Since then, they've nixed that.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do that with the standing 8. They still, you know, if you drop the guy, you can pursue him, but you still can't hit him in the face in the ground.
Yeah.
Which, it's still weird. But I like that there is a distinction between amateur and pro.
That happened after I dropped the guy. The referee kind of stood in. And then I was like, all right, well, I can't do anything. I dropped the guy later on in that round with a knee to the liver. Like, we got on the cage, and I heard Kurt say, "Marching knees." And I hit right, and then I switched on the left. Boom, I hit the left, and it was right under the liver, and he did the whole curl up and dropped. And I looked at the ref like, can I go? Because I get adrenaline, I'm like, can I go? And the ref's like, go. And I'm like, okay, well, I get down and I realize I can't punch him in the face.
Yeah.
So I just start hitting the body. But I'm like, I just done jiu-jitsu this whole time. I literally just like leg dragged and moved this guy's leg out the way. And I was like, is it supposed to be that easy to pass someone's guard?
It is when you hit him with a liver shot.
And then so second round, I caught him. He threw crazy overhand right. I just like weaved under it. And then on the rechamber, I caught him with a kick across the body, and he like folded a little bit and kind of like just moseyed onto the ground, like looking for a way out, and he just rolled over, and I was like, I'm already inside, and he just stuck the arm, literally stuck the arm out there. He was like, and then I took the arm, and I got that armbar win. I actually had a dream like 2 weeks before that I had finished with an armbar, because Kurt kept telling me, he says, visualize yourself walk into the cage, like whatever you gotta do, get in the dark room, close your eyes, put whatever music you're gonna walk out to, and like just see yourself in the cage, feel the mat, see how you're gonna finish the fight, like see yourself there. And he's just like, say stuff like that and just leave me to myself. And then I just be in my head, and every day I was trying to pick a song. What song do I want to do? And of course, you want to be hard. So I picked out fucking Go to Sleep Bitch by Eminem. Go to sleep, bitch. Die, motherfucker, die.
Yeah.
And now I'm on a whole completely wave coming out to like motivational stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be hard anymore. I'm enjoying the moment. So I'm not trying to be. I'm just being.
So that obviously went good for you. So that's great. You continue to go on like that tear, like I mentioned in the introduction, like 6-0 as far as amateur mixed martial arts, and then 7-0. That's I'm sorry, MMA, and then 2 more Muay Thai fights.
One Muay Thai fight. Yeah.
So obviously you had an awesome career as an amateur, and you progressed pretty quick through that.
Yeah.
Was it just easy? Not that I know that the training and the pursuit of the fights that's difficult, but like when you got in the cage, did you just this is like what it is in the training room? Was it easy or no?
It wasn't that it was easy. I felt the same exact thing you just mentioned. Like maybe it wasn't top team, but in my head it was top team. Remember, I've never trained at any other MMA gym ever, so the introduction to Rush to me was top team, because I see your banner up there. I see Kevin Smith. I'm training with Bubby. I see people, that have top team gear. And I don't know much, but I'm like, this is what a UFC gym is like. Lathan almost dumps me over
The wall.
The wall. Q's beating the shit out of me. I never wrestled, so then I get introduced because me and Chase are in the same weight class. He is beating the fuck out of me. Like when it comes to I'm like, I need to learn how to wrestle, so I'm going to wrestling class.
Right.
He's just wrestling the fuck out of me, and I'm just like, yo, I can't. Like I just got through the switch in my head. Like I can't be getting my ass whooped for more than like 3 or 4 weeks. Like I gotta, you gotta do something.
Then you do wrestling practice. Then you do wrestling on the cage, and you realize none of this shit works. So then you gotta figure out how to make wrestling work against the wall. Like.
So I just started putting everything together. It wasn't that it was easy, but I felt like, man, I fight with these guys all the fucking time. Another guy who is similar weight and
Baby
weight
D
class.
been beating my ass. I'm over here. These guys ain't shit.
Yeah, but I think Kurt has been like, he doesn't get a lot of shine. He you can't even, if you Google him, you can't even find shit. You be like, did you really study Muay Thai? Goddamn it! Like he's that, like he does not like the shine, doesn't like, he just in the background, but he's been such a good coach as far as mentally. He's like, hey, look, I like to call it mixed martial athletics. Right now, it's so much athleticism dealt in it. You see the evolution of the sport. It's not just the guys with just the good technical aspect.
Correct.
Majority of the time, the most athletic guy, most of the time,
right,
would
for sure
has the upper
he
hand.
Definitely
Upper hand. So he told me when I came to him after my first fight, I was like, yeah, I want to game plan this. He says, game plan? Like, bro, you don't start game planning so after you get like 10 fights or so. Like, you don't even know who you are as a fighter. And I'm like, God damn it. All right. But he would coach me on whatever my opponent's weakness was. He's like, yo, let the ego go. I know you like to hit hard. Because when someone hits you hard, you just hit them hard. And then now you're like showing that you're tough. You don't have to. And he's like, you signed up for Muay Thai. You don't have to show me you're tough. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, relax. Go in there with the game plan. He says, know that your game plan can always be like thrown to shit. But if the goal was to take my opponents wherever they were the weakest. So I started focusing on that. And that's how I got my finishes and started going together. I'm like, oh, this guy's a striker. We're going to go to ground. Or if this guy's doing this, we implemented game plans. And I just still think, to this day, for any competitive athlete, the most important asset are your ears, because your coaches are on the outside seeing things that you might not have seen. And every finish that I've gotten, before every finish, literally, if you play tape, you can hear me actively listening to my coach. First amateur title, Bubby was in my corner. And you can hear him saying, I posted a video about a month ago. He's like, hey, Moon. He came in the second round and said, hey, hunt with your head. I'm not telling you to head hunt. Keep your head off the center line, because this guy's a little bit longer than you. And when you get coming back across the center line, throw your strikes. I'm like, all right, cool. And then so I came on out and I was real stagnant. And he's like, hey, Moon, hunt with your head, hunt with your head. And I knew what that meant. And now you can see me instantly like just do this like 1 or 2 times. Say, okay, get off the center line. Get off the center line. There's times where Lathan's like, hey, he's got the underhook. Let's work wrist control. And then it's me actively saying, okay, well, now get out of here, peel off, get the wrist control. And I still think ears might be the most important for a fighter, if you're like actively looking to make that adjustment right then and there. Because it's always helped me. I'm like, I've gotten almost all finishes.
That's why you have them in your corners, because these are people that have experience and know you better than anybody and are looking at it from the outside in, from hopefully a less emotional perspective than just focusing on the fighter. They're seeing the big picture.
We've talked about that before, about that fighters nowadays are so well-rounded that you can't not be good at everything, because that's where the weakness lies. So like before, it's like, hey, I got a jiu-jitsu guy and a Muay Thai guy going up against it, so their skill sets are those. But now it's like, hey, he's good on his feet, but he's not as good on his on his back and stuff like that. So now the pairing of it is, hey, you got to be good at everything. You got to be so well-rounded that if you do get taken down, now I got an understanding of, okay.
I feel like this stage of mixed martial arts is happening in transition. Everything is happening in transition a lot more than, hey, I'm just catching you or you're just catching me. It's not my turn, your turn. You see the guys that are really good are blending the
all
striking
at the same time
with the wrestling.
All at
They're
the same
blending,
time.
the control with the positional, like, hey, I'm going to control you, but then I'm going to use this to get to a better position. It's blending very well. that's what I really appreciate about like what you do here, and having Lathan in my corner is like the way you guys work in transition. It's like, hey, I know you're going for something, but you're trying to get me to move into that direction, and everything is happening in transition. I feel like that's the only difference between maybe your blue, purple, and brown belt is we all know and we're all going for, like, I didn't tap anything with anybody spectacular this morning. I got triangles and arm bars, but I recognize the transition that you showed the other day. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get it. The second that he goes out because he's got that strong stiff arm, just control the tricep and get this in the transition because he's too strong if I let him get out for me to try and just yank on the arm. So I feel like everything's happening in transition a lot faster.
So after a flawless amateur career, you go into your first pro fight, you know, with the small 4-ounce gloves. Elbows are allowed. He already fought without shin guards in the advanced amateur. You did that? Okay. So now you're fighting with, like, elbows allowed, you know, full knee strikes allowed, 5-minute rounds. Yeah. What was the prep like? What was the fight like? How excited were you?
Oh, I was extremely excited. That vision that Kurt first told me, said, envision yourself going to the cage and this and that. That vision, like what happened that night is what I envisioned 4 years prior. Walking out to the cage, Amun, Cosme, getting in there, and I've relived that moment no less than 10,000 times. Yeah. Easy in my head. So when I got there, it wasn't like oh my God, there's a lot of people here. The preparation, Kurt always says, the hay's in the barn. You win the fight in training camp. And then you go out there, and that's your opportunity. That's what he really takes from the Muay Thai culture is just put on a show. Go out there and do what you do. Showcase what you've been doing. Showcase your hard work, right? Right now is not the time to be nervous. He says nervousness and excitement have the same physiological response on the body. So you turn your nerves into excitement. When you're nervous, you might feel like your heartbeat going. You might feel a little bit of jitters, but the same thing happens when you're excited. So I've learned early in my career how to be in that moment. Just enjoy it. Stop trying to put on the Eminem music and be hard. Be you. And when you're out there, let it happen. My goal every time I get in the cage is to be better than the previous version of myself. Everything else will work itself out in the cage as far as skill set and, you know, what the game plan is and all that. Obviously, I want to win, but
me and him are way different.
I do want to win, but that's my goal.
I'm in there and I'm like, I'm about to fuck this guy up. Like, that's why my game planning has never been for me personally as a fighter has been very strong. But I get it up here. I just don't like that. You need it to win sometimes. That's why I got plenty of losses at the UFC level. But, like, no, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool to, like, hear, like, your psychology behind it. You know what I mean?
I still have that hard-headed mentality. Like,
you're still a dog.
I still, like, if I get into that position, I'm like, all right, I got to go out and I got to do this. Like, the introduction to the elbows and the 5-minute rounds, I figured was going to be a huge game changer for me because I've always had extremely great conditioning. And then now I'm like, oh my God, when I first was like, I'm gonna be pro, I'm gonna get tired, 3 5s. And I was like, yo, relax. You got more time to work. And then I thought about it the other way. I got more time to finish someone.
I got more time to be on top and mount throwing bombs down the school and make him turn away and get an arm lock.
So that's exactly what happened. I got to that position. The guy held onto my head and he was just squeezing. And I was thinking Von Flue, but I was like, I'm probably not gonna finish a Von Flue choke, right? But I was like, what can I do from here? And then I was like, oh, elbow, because I had under the head, and then I was trying to isolate the arm so I could either go Kimura or far side armbar. And when I went over, I was like, I felt like his neck was right there, and I was like, oh shit. I hit him with one elbow. He let my head go. He goes to turtle. I trap the wrist. I hit a couple times. He tries to roll. Armbar.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was cool. So, like, after the crowd was, like, all moon there, which was really good. Like, I saw you had, like, some family there and a lot of close people to you.
Yeah.
That was, like, really great for me just to even be able to, like, see that special moment. That was cool.
Yeah, it was special for that you and Bubby came. For me, like, I say it all the time, man. Like, people who have dedicated their lives to martial arts are fucking nuts. Number one, because there is no end game. you have a black belt. That doesn't mean you stop training.
Right.
That means you stop getting better. Doesn't mean you stop teaching. Like, there's no end in sight. Like, in careers, people are looking to retire. If your career is in martial arts, you're not looking to retire.
No.
Right?
Nor make enough money to, by the way. Right? Let me also add that.
What is that you always say when somebody gets their black belt? It's like all this work for nothing. Not that exact quote.
But if you can put it in short, that's what that shit is.
I think it's pretty anticlimactic. Huh?
Yeah.
Like, that's basically it. Like,
yeah, but I just felt like
that's it, huh?
There have been people who have been in pinnacle and like very like part of my foundation that I don't really think understand that. Like, I'm where I'm at. Not because of me. Obviously, you got to do the work and, you know, all that shit on your own. But people before you had to lay down the fucking, you know, the road to get there.
You are shaped by the actions and sacrifices of others.
Exactly.
100%.
So when Bubby accepted me in, and I'm always willing to pay my dues because I know what it's like to get taken advantage of, and I don't ever want anyone to think I'm taking advantage of him. So I'm like, hey, man, how much is a membership? He's like, at worst, you can come pay a $10 mat fee. And then at one point in time, after like a month, he was like, bro, just don't pay me anything. Like, just come and train. And I'm like, okay, I just don't ever want to feel like I take advantage. When you were like, hey, come to the Mike Brown seminar. I'm like, all right, how much is the seminar? You're like, just bring the plaques. I'm like, okay, so I could just bring the plaques that are already in Milledgeville, and that's my ticket into
Milledgeville.
Yeah, bro.
I'm already
it was going to save me some money.
Yeah, then I'm training for fights, and then like you welcome me in. And whatever you guys see that, you know, as far as accepting, like, I always want to be an asset everywhere I go. I don't ever want to take without giving anything back. That's just how I was raised.
I just tell people out there, like, you're saying, like, whatever it is you see, it's like, I'll just tell you what I see. And that's what I like is a team guy.
Yeah.
A guy who's there not just to say, what can I get from this resource? Let me milk this resource until it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, let's see somebody who can, I'm willing to, you know, give some from this spout or this resource, but I want to see a guy who can take that and, you know, what is it, like some shit about fishing and somebody being able to like live forever or whatever.
Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Show a man how to fish, he eats for his life.
I want to see somebody take this, but then do something with it, and like a hard work ethic. Somebody that not only is there to for their fight, but to support the fight of another person.
Yeah.
That teammate who's there, whether they are actually literally fighting or their fight is to lose weight or their fight is to emotionally get over the divorce that they just went through or whatever that is. You know, like we have a lot of different types of people here, blends of people that are here who are different ages and colors and genders and occupations, and everybody has a different why for why they're here, and their why is not the same as your why. But to be able to be there for those people and to aid and be a team player and a team helper, that's the biggest thing to me. Like you know, being there for our bubble community, you know, that's what it is.
And that goes back full circle to what I said. I've always wanted to be a part of something that's bigger than myself.
Yeah.
It's like, I think martial arts provides that. Like, everybody that walks through that door doesn't have the same goal as Amun. Not everybody says, hey, I want to have a P4P next to my name in the UFC. I want to be pound for pound one of the best ever. Not people are saying that. People walking in saying, I want to lose weight, or I'm stressed out, or maybe, you know, I'm depressed, or maybe I just want to learn how to defend myself.
I got beat up last week.
Whatever, right? You know, it could be anything. Everybody has a different goal, but ultimately,
depending on what city you're living in,
hopefully not in Warner Robins, Georgia.
Not on my watch.
No, but everybody has to come in, and no matter what you do, we all got to fight.
Right.
The fighter has to fight. The person who wants to lose weight has to fight. Everybody's battle is different, but we all have to fight.
I had a teacher in high school that told me going back, like I knew when I was a kid I was going to join the Marine Corps. That's what I want to do and all that other stuff. So in high school I knew like I watched Twin Towers fall, and I was like, oh man, we're going to war. We're gonna, you know, all this other stuff. And I had a teacher that told me, he's like, why? You want to go and die? I mean, what the hell's the matter with you? And I told him, I said, I'm not in a hurry to die. I'm in a hurry to matter.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuck with me forever.
Fuck, that's gonna be my words of wisdom today.
Write that shit down.
Yeah.
But I remember saying it, and I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, because that's the overall goal. Like, I don't want to just breeze through this thing and die. Like, I want to matter in here, and I want to, like, you know, help people, and you know, that's kind of where that came from.
That's ultimately, like I said, what death is the only thing we're all promised. I don't know why everybody looks at it so fucking like nuts. I'm fighting professionally. I've had doctors tell me I wasn't gonna walk straight. I would never be a professional athlete. All this crazy shit. I didn't just get into one car accident. After I had my first 3 amateur fights, I get into a second car accident. It re-injured my back. So now it's like even worse than it was before. Get my second surgery. I have to rehab I rehabbed for a good little minute, but from my second back surgery to my fight was my next fight. I went 3-0 as an amateur. I think it was like 18 months before I even got back in the cage.
Wow.
And it's like, you just want to matter. And then to have someone who's a professional tell you, you're a professional at medicine. Right. I'm not even a professional fighter yet. But in my head, I always see myself as like a professional athlete in some form or realm. And then you're telling someone like, I don't think you'll walk straight. You'll be better, you know, if you get back to 80%. Yeah. And it's like, fuck. And it's like, what is 80% of your former self? That ain't shit. You want to matter, and you want to be there, and you want to help people out, and you're on fucking bed rest, and you're trying to figure out, okay, are you going to be able to help yourself out? And you want to matter to someone. And like, I feel like in martial arts, it allows you to matter for everyone, including yourself. It's like, because then it provides bigger purpose for your life. Like you said, coming through the door, I'm able to help someone out with something. When someone says, hey man, thank you for staying with me, or giving this extra hand, it's like that's rewarding to me.
And they might have let you know, you might know their story on why they came through the door the first time, but you don't even know what they're battling that specific day before they just walked in. Like, could have been a bad argument with whatever. So it's important to not just be like that like one time, but to be being consistent is one of the best things you can be in life. Not like what your maximum potential and what you are on your best day, but what you are every day.
Yeah. I feel like being wishy-washy is the worst shit. I'm like, if I had to pick between 3 restaurants, or I had to pick 2 out of 3 restaurants, one's consistently good, one's consistently bad, and one's iffy, I would never go to the iffy one, because you never know what your experience is gonna be. But say you go to the bad one, it's just bad service, but they got good food. You say, hey, fuck it, I'll go get that food, because it's worth that food. Right. But the inconsistent one, you don't
like
know.
Burger I Am over here. They got like that. It's pretty good food, but just the experience.
Yeah, the experience is like,
they just don't serve you.
They don't serve me.
If you're going into a place and like, you're gonna spend your hard-earned money and you're gonna wait your time and you don't know what you're gonna get, it's like, yo, being inconsistent is the most unattractive trait ever. And I feel like with our modern era of social media and quick pop-up everything, inconsistency is the new consistency. So now people don't even trust you when you're fucking consistent.
Right.
It's like, I've given nobody any reason to believe anything else about me. You could take out whatever you want. And then for somebody to, I've been following you for like 2 years. Are you really like that? You've been following me for 2 years and you just now saying something? Like,
yeah,
you
like
said fucking hey 2 years ago.
I was just about to say like, what are you doing now? Like what as far as like the future? Tell people about like your fight on August 29th.
All right, what I'm doing now. I am all in, all in, all in. Never has there ever been a point in my life where I've dedicated this much time to myself. I am a people pleaser. I've always had other things where I had to, you know, run a gym or run a learning center or work a job or this. I quit all my jobs. I fight. So when someone asks me, what do you do? I teach, train, and compete in martial arts. That's it. I'm a mixed martial artist. on that form. But number one right now, I am feeding my heart, my mind, and my soul, and I'm being selfish with my time. I train 30 hours a week maybe. When we go back, go get some lunch, and then Cole says, hey, this is the life. And I was thinking, like, I could still be at my 9 to 5 thinking, I used to always say, man, I can't wait till I can replace this time with training.
Yeah.
look at he's like, yeah. So what I'm currently doing is
I have a conversation a lot.
I have a fight on August 29th. I'm making a full-time move to Warner Robins, so I'll be training under Cole Miller at Miller Martial Arts full-time. With him, my man Lathan, and me and Kurt Reinhardt are still working together. That's my original coach, and we're still going to continue to get as much work in as possible while I'm in Milledgeville. But I'll be moving to Warner Robins. I already told my apartment my move-out date is September 1st, so I'll fight the 29th, and then I got 1 day to move.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So,
hey, so anybody out there that's wanting to sponsor Moon, if you own a moving company,
come
help this man out.
Yeah, so that's what I'm currently doing. I'm actually not just on the fight aspect of it, but with the whole way that the world is going with the corona and all this other things like that. Jobs are harder to come by. I want to use my platform as a professional athlete, and what my mission is. MMA for me and my brand stands for motivation and martial arts. All right, and so that's what you'll see when you go on my Instagram, my website, or anything like that. I am now currently accepting sponsors. A lot of people have been asking to sponsor me before, and I wanted to wait till I got the business in formatted. I have that in formatted, and over the next couple weeks and still, I will be looking. If somebody wants to sponsor and use the platform that we get to see through Flow Combat or through our billboards out in Atlanta or Instagram or website, all that stuff will be available. I'll have shirts and stuff soon, but like I said, as of right now, there's not much to talk about what the future holds. The future holds training and fighting, and then eventually walking out to that UFC cage.
All right, well, if anybody's out there that you guys want a ticket, like, reach out to him directly. Oh, yeah. He's not unattainable, people. So, like, contact him on his Instagram, which is
Amun _Cosme _MMA.
All right. And then to, like, our students or people that are in the middle Georgia area, the bout will be in Atlanta August 29th. We're going to be heading up that way to show the love and the support. So if you guys want tickets, you can either reach out to him and meet up directly. I'm sure he'll meet you at Decadent or somewhere awesome like that and sell a ticket. And for those that want to just like come to our school, we are going to be like selling the tickets, on his behalf. You can come in, meet him, and if you want to sit down and watch him train, you can't film it, but you can watch and you can kind of see who you're supporting. We'd be happy to do something like that. So
I appreciate that.
I'll tell the students in our group page or whatever. You guys will know the moment that we have physical tickets to go on sale. But make sure that we love and support the people that are loving and supporting you. And we're grateful to have you as part of the team, brother.
Oh man, it's great to be a part of a team.
Later.